Hi, and welcome to the first podcast of the week. You have heard me say in the past, I've got a few more things to do here at the radio station. Alex has more responsibilities at work as well, but this has been a particularly nutty week. I'm working on a big project here at the radio station, and then yesterday was at Put-in-Bay, which was not terrible. Especially when I saw this morning that the Luke Bryan Day got canceled. I saw unprecedented damage in the story. I saw Floyd's video of it, and that certainly looked like it. They had a much worse time maybe last night and this morning, as it's Thursday afternoon now, than I had yesterday. Did I have fun? No. I enjoyed my company with my coworkers and having Alex out there. But the weather, as soon as we got on the air yesterday, it didn't start raining. It started pouring. I can't recall at least being outside in anything like that before, where it goes to zero to a waterfall like that. And not 5 minutes earlier than that, we're like, this looks east of us. The green on the map it's east of us. It looks like it's going to go around us. I get on the air. I do a quick thing. I say, I want to go on the air again. I get a phone call from the studio. They say, where were you? And I picked up the phone with my right hand, and with the rest of my body, I was covering the laptop from getting rained on. I didn't know what to do in that time. Wasn't a terrible day. Like I said, I had good company. It was tame around the island. We were also there like the middle of the day before we went over to the venue. People were probably also preparing for whatever weather might come. So it was fine. And the day, if we're doing win, lose, pass, fail, it was win, it was pass, because I got home at 9:45. I was concerned that, look, if I would have had to leave the dogs alone from Bethany would have gone over again last night. But if they had to sleep by themselves at night, they would have been fine. But I wanted to get home. I wanted to be I would have had to sleep on somebody's floor. So here's how the night wrapped up. I didn't stay for the Pitbull show. I wanted to get home. If I could have watched some of it, fine. 7:40, I needed to be on stage to do something. And the next two Jet Expresses were 8 o'clock. And we didn't make that one 9:30. I didn't have a time in mind where I wanted to be home. I just kind of left it all open. I didn't want to get home at 2 or anything like that, or midnight. But it seemed like I could get out of there at like 9 o'clock or so, and then I'm home by 11, whatever. So 7:40, got to go to the stage. Are we going to make it back to the Jet Express in time? So Alex and then Jerry, our boss, and also the biggest Pitbull fan alive, Johnny D. And I am not embellishing that. Biggest Pitbull fan alive. Every time on Q105 when he would play Fireball, he was living it up here in the studio. We worked some backstage passes. Like, Johnny, this is now you. He came with me instead of someone else. I'm like, look, man, if you want to linger back here and try to fangirl with Pitbull, like, do your thing. We got to go. So we did that. Did an on stage thing. Got out. Got to the Jet Express. Not many people on it. I don't know if there was 20 people on the thing. Nice, calm ride home. Dropped Alex off. It was a calm, fairly quick ride to and from Port Clinton. Shorter than I expected. Got home at 9:45. Watched the first episode of Ahsoka. Very, very impressed. Very happy. If you watched, there are a lot of original 2 trilogy shots in this. I appreciated it. Went to sleep, was woken up by the house shaking. I don't know what time this was. Went back to sleep, and the dogs aren't rattled by any of that. So we just kept on sleeping. But it was a wild day of weather yesterday. Coming over on the boat, it was cold and windy. Before this rain hit yesterday, it wasn't hot. It was cooler there than it was here yesterday. It poured for 30 minutes. It stopped, and it lightened up. It was not pouring, but still raining, and then the wind picked up. That's why we were holding on to the tent. Thank God Alex was there with us yesterday, because Jerry and I would not have be able to hold the tent together. It would have just taken off like like a sail. But as the wind was getting stronger and stronger, 40-mile-an-hour gusts, it got cold. I'm going to guess it was like a summer wind chill. It might have been in the 60s with temperature and the wind howling so strongly yesterday. And my highlight, I did not know that there are like Disney World type prices at Put-in-Bay. That I was not expecting. We went to Hooligans and I was looking around. I was like, I'll get a salad. No, I won't because it's like $26. I like corned beef. I'll do the Reuben. Wasn't as big as I would like for $19, but it was good. And they were really good fries. And Buffalo Trace for $7.25. That could have been a lot worse. But yeah, the prices were more than I was anticipating. We're going to get to Perrysburg here in a second. We don't talk as much minutia of Perrysburg politics and the way the city works as we do Toledo, for a lot of obvious reasons. The most obvious, bigger place, more people, more things going on. But I've been hunting down someone to be on our community affairs show. I was short for a couple of weeks, but I get it. Summertime, not as many things are going on. I like Marie Dunn. She is the PIO, Public Information Officer for Perrysburg, and does fantastic Taco Tuesday reviews every week on her Facebook page. Marie Dunn, D-U-N-N. Apparently, I need to stop driving by Frontera outside of Lowe's on Airport and actually go in there. Thank you, Marie. But Perrysburg hired a new city administrator, and I always read about the one in Maumee. Don't know his name offhand, but I see his name there a lot. Like, this is a good time for me to ask a very simple, but I think fairly important question that other people have probably had. What does a city administrator do? We'll get to Joe Fawcett here in just a moment. Since there has been just this podcast for the week, I cannot strongly encourage you enough to go listen to the latest episode, 25, of our Ability Center podcast, 68 Words. I have often had a lot of questions like, what's a city administrator when it comes to autism? And we have come a long, long, long way in a short period of time, as we have with mental health. You'll hear me in this podcast, and my guest, Alexis Eggenberger from Avenues for Autism, we hear the autism spectrum, and I talked about like an endless array, an endless spectrum of colors of what's represented by someone who is autistic or autism. She used the word constellation. I'm like, that's it, because there are endless stars in the sky, constellation stars. Yeah, it touches people in so many different ways, and we don't want to ask the questions that get us in trouble. And as long as we're asking from a place of authenticity and being genuine and not trying to pick on people and just be genuinely curious, we'll get answers. And I asked a lot of those questions that I have had. And I appreciate Alexis answering those. So after you listen to Joe here, the new city administrator from Perrysburg, go listen to 68 Words. It is just about everywhere except, I think, Apple Podcasts. So please go check that out. And I thank you for being here. And I thank you for putting up with fewer episodes. Thanks for always listening. Let me thank you for taking some time. I'm sure the new job has you quite busy.
Yeah, haven't start quite yet. I start on Monday, the 28th. But closing out at the city of BG is taking a lot of time, but trying to get read in on some of the issues in Perrysburg is like doing double duty right now. But
sure.
It's all good stuff.
I want to ask you about some of those issues that might be on your radar.
Sure.
But first, the one thing I wanted to just ask you, and I'm sure others have a question like this. We know mayors and maybe even like school superintendents. Mm-hmm. What the heck does a city administrator do, Joe?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our job as administrators and really within the administration is, if you think about the three branches of government, it's the executive branch. So our jobs are to enforce the laws and regulations enacted by the legislative branch. So as the administrator, it's my job to manage the day-to-day operations of the city, to take feedback and input from residents as well as the elected officials, and then to really implement a plan of action to execute the long-term, short-term strategic goals for the mayor and city council, as well as address community issues that may arise.
It sounds like being mayor, but not necessarily all the public-facing stuff that comes with that. That sounds like a heavy lift.
I think it is, and I'll soon find out.
Right.
So I've had the luxury of kind of learning from a second seat down in BG as well as Wood County. But I'm very excited. I'm happy to be the guy behind the green curtain as opposed to in front of it.
Sure.
As much as I possibly can. But, it's a fantastic opportunity. Perrysburg's a wonderful community, and I'm kind of fortunate to have two hometowns growing up. I would spend half the week in Perrysburg and half the week in BG. Serving your hometown community in this particular manner, if you're in public services, is I think I feel lucky to be able to do that. So
I read that about you, that you split the week. You're a 99 graduate of BG High School. Right. Can you explain that? Was that like a mom-dad situation?
Yeah. So parents got divorced. One moved to Perrysburg. One stayed in BG. For the better part of a decade, I would do that twice a week here and twice a week there, and then every other weekend.
You are coming from the position of, it's a mouthful, Director of Public Services and Assistant City Administrator of Bowling Green. Did I get all that?
You got it.
Must be the biggest business card to hand out.
Yeah, luckily they just tied one title to it, so I don't have to say all of it. But so when I left Wood County as the Assistant County Administrator, I went to the City of Bowling Green as the Assistant Municipal Administrator. Shortly into Mayor Osbacher's term, he and Lori Treader, the municipal administrator in BG, wanted to do a couple of different things with the organization there, and one of which was to push down some of the decision making to they call them bureaus, but to help Lori manage the day-to-day operations of the city with contracting authority and a little higher level oversight than a department head. So they asked me if I would be willing to participate in that strategic planning with them, as well as assume a much larger role in the organization. And that was an easy answer for me. It's a promotion, and it's a great way to learn at a much higher level. Municipal government, and I think in large part to them and the opportunity they gave me, it prepared me for this position within Perrysburg. So
I know, in reading up on you a little bit, you did not want to take credit for some of the accomplishments in BG. So throw credit other places for some of the accomplishments in BG. The one thing that jumps to my head, and my head thinks more of like lifestyle type things, but please add to that. But the Parklet program a couple of summers ago, I know there's a couple of roundabouts. What are some of the accomplishments the team that you worked with brought to BG?
Yeah, I'm very much a team guy, and I don't believe that within local government, most especially, that accomplishments can be tied to any one person. It takes a community and it takes the organization to really achieve some of those larger community objectives. Since my time at BG, we've put in 3 roundabouts now. We've paved miles and miles of roads. We are starting to plan for some shared use paths or multi-use paths to improve connectivity and kind of that complete streets concept. You mentioned some of the amenities. Council was very big on opening up some of those when it comes to the Parklet project. My part of that, frankly, was very small, and it was the operational aspect. Jeff Dennis and Rachel Phipps on council, as well as their downtown partners, they deserve all of the credit for that. Some of the economic development projects in BG, that goes to Katie Thompson, the economic development director, as well as kind of the city team led by the mayor and Lori, but most especially Brian O'Connell, our utilities director, and my partner in crime. He's the director of public infrastructure, so we work in tandem together quite often. But you name it. I think somebody who is quick to take credit for things, they're probably setting themselves up for pain in the future. My background before coming into local government was in the Army. I entered actually as a junior in high school. Went to basic training between my junior year and senior year of high school, and then served into 2009 on active duty, and then back into the National Guard here locally. But it's impressed upon us in the Army and in service that a good leader is one thing, but a true testament of who that leader is the team behind them and around them. So if a leader was taking credit for something, they were doing it to service to the people that helped them get there, as well as probably carried a lion's share of the weight. So BG has a lot of good things going. The Abbott project is obviously huge. That's the largest economic development project.
What is that?
So Abbott is a Fortune 500 company, and they are best known for making baby formula. But they're also you'll see with some of the COVID stuff on commercials and stuff like that. So they are bringing a major manufacturing facility to BG just north of town. It's now in town, off of 25 at Bishop Road. But that was, if I could sum up the team-oriented approach in one example, that would be it. Katie worked her butt off to get on Abbott's radar, and then from there it was everybody's all in from the city, from the mayor down. So
is that the facility where the bike place was going to go into, or am I thinking of another place?
I think you might be thinking of another place. It's on 25 north of the Woodland Mall. There's a church there that's just to the south of where Abbott will be located. We
often focus on Toledo is the big city, and we're all in that orbit. Perrysburg, Sylvania, Maumee, right outside of that. But for all the things you just illustrated, there are not, if people can catalog through their brain right now, there are no bad stories that come out of BG. I mean, it's tough to run a city, but there's nothing but seemingly good things and growth happening right under our nose. To point out, whenever somebody might hear this, I know this weekend is the third rally on Main, which is a big deal as well. So there's a lot of really good things happening right down 75 from Toledo.
Oh yeah, Bowling Green is, they've got a lot of good things coming towards them, and that's because, in my opinion, they have a very good attitude. They have a community-oriented approach. The Mayor Lori and council are very big on we're all in this together, so to speak. Our job as a city government is to help the people and help the community be as best as it can be. And I think Perrysburg is in the same boat. Perrysburg has boomed population-wise over the last decade. They have a lot of things going on, and I'm extremely excited to be joining the community. We just signed a purchase agreement for a house. The kids have started school up there, so we are all in, and we are very much looking forward to being integrated into the community.
The one challenge that jumps to my mind is the growth of Perrysburg, because I believe there's some levies coming up on this year's ballot. You are jumping from a place where pretty quiet, I guess, politically, into some tense areas. I know there was another meeting within the last 10 days or so. You put the 3 roundabouts together. Hopefully you're a roundabout expert, because that's a little tense. What do you look at? How can the school system take on all these more students, especially if the levy becomes such a challenge?
Well, first thing, I don't believe there's an expert in all areas of municipal or local government. Again, that's where and why the team approach is so important, because we all bring our strengths and our weaknesses, frankly, to the team, and we have to push the sled in the collective manner in the same direction, so to speak. So I am not an expert in roundabouts, but I do think in the right location, they are fantastic treatment. I think they're very good for efficiently moving traffic. I think it is good for the environment. It lowers CO2 emissions by people getting through traffic lights as opposed to sitting in them. But you're right. Growth is a double-edged sword. It's good, but it's also bad. It comes with some baggage. From the city's point of view, we have got to do what we can to ensure that we are planning and executing in a smart manner. We have to ensure that the excellent services that we provide maintain and continue into the future. So we need to look through police protection, fire protection, refuse recycling collection, and those types of things. So we have our hands full with that, and the schools likewise do too. Perrysburg schools are phenomenal.
Yeah.
They are consistently rated in the top of the county, and for good reason. They've worked very hard in that, and the community has invested heavily into the schools. But they too are feeling the pain. They're feeling the pinch of how do they continue to maintain that excellent service for the students and the parents and the community with the dollars that they have and the facilities they have. So, they have some very big decisions that they have to make as well. I went to the last week's city council meeting, and it was contentious at times, given the roundabout conversation.
Is there anything like that in the BG council meetings?
Oh, yeah. It's the same stuff, maybe a little bit different flavor, different personalities.
Sure.
But, what I take from both examples or, experiences personally is that it is good to see the emotion within not only the public, but also the elected officials, because they're invested. They care deeply about the community, and that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So I think our challenge and our opportunity all in one is to leverage that passion and to work in a collective manner. And that's where, my job, as I see it as the administrator, is, the biggest part of it is relationship building, is getting to know people, getting integrated with them, letting them know that they can trust me, that I'm going to work on their behalf in a very straightforward, honest, transparent way in an ethical manner. And that if they have questions, I am there to answer them. I may not be able to answer all of their questions all of the time immediately, but I will do my best to answer it in a very timely manner. It's same in BG, goes true in Perrysburg, and that's, I welcome people to call me. I welcome people to come in and ask to have a conversation with me. I would much rather talk with somebody one-on-one than get into a contentious debate during a public meeting. I think, the one-on-one conversations off to the side are largely more productive.
Far less emotional.
Far less emotional, you're right. And that's my promise to the community is, I'm there, I will listen to them, and I will be there to answer their questions, and I will do so in a very transparent manner.
Have you planned any of that out in any kind of loose ways, like shaking hands, buying beers, kissing babies at Inside the Five or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a good place, by the way. The Smash Burger with the hazy IPA is amazing.
Good stuff. Will you be out at all, or will it just be kind of like an open door format that you'll run?
No, well, I've set up meetings with the staff to get on board from an organization standpoint, and then my plan is to begin meeting with members of council, as well as obviously the first meeting I have is with the mayor, since he's my boss. But in quick short order after that is going around talking with the chamber, the CVB, meeting with community members, and trying to get integrated and to really meet people and connect for them a face with a name, and to let them know that, again, not to sound like a broken record, but that I'm there.
No, by all means. Sometimes, as we're talking about the relationship aspect of things and city council meetings versus one-on-one, sometimes as a married guy, as a father, I am neither, but I know sometimes people just want to be heard.
Oh, yeah.
They just want to be listened to, and they spill their guts, they get it out, and then they move on, and they see why the roundabout isn't so bad. Right.
Yeah. Roundabouts, they're an interesting topic. My experience in Bowling Green is before the roundabout goes in, they're 80%, 40% of the people are against the roundabout, for and against. So largely people, you hear the concerns that they have with them going in, and it seems like a large portion of the population, and maybe it is. After the roundabouts go in, that ratio flips.
Yeah.
And people see the benefits of it, and they see how efficient it is and how convenient it is to get through where they want to go. But as a former intel guy from the Army, I listen to those comments, and those are called indicators, and we need to listen to those indicators, and we need to take something from that. And if that's educating the public to help alleviate their concerns, if it's to take a step back and reevaluate the situation, we need to do that. So, I've heard their comments, and I would say that, their concerns, I get it. I understand it. And it's our job to flesh out some of the details and try to connect the why with the decision. So,
if it's worth anything, Lewis County Engineers, the building, I think, off of McCord, right down the street from Springfield, sometime in the spring held what I would call a roundabout school.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit too late as we build these in the area. And I think low double-digit people showed up, like 16, 17, 18, and we both know that way more people than that could use some education with that. Maybe that's something that you wind up doing. And like we just showed kids back to school, first day, orientation, walk them up, and they see it's not that bad. Same thing with anything that's going to be new under your administration.
Yeah, no, you're totally on point there. One of the things that I take from BG is a front-end heavy emphasis on public education and outreach. We have got to do our job to inform them of what's going on, why it's going on, what are the benefits of it, and to hear their concerns. Brian Thomas, the Perrysburg city engineer, I applaud him, and Mayor Mackin. They have set up a community forum on Monday the 28th at 5:30 p.m., I believe, at Way Public Library. To hear people's concerns and to answer questions that they may have. So that has begun, not anything that I've done, but because of who they are. But you are completely right. I think Marie, the PIO, is going to have her hands full trying to push out information and to help educate people.
You talked about finding a house. I think it's quite relatable. I don't know what you made in BG, but your salary is publicly posted here. Doesn't matter how much you make, how much of a raise you got. It's been a heck of a time to find a house. Was that a challenge for you and your family?
Yeah, it wasn't super easy. Seeing the interest rates where they are, it's a little bit of an eye-opening experience. But we found a house, thankfully, in a wonderful neighborhood.
Good.
So, we are very excited. The way that I phrase it with this job is I kind of think of that guy from Jeopardy. I think it's Holtzberg or whatever, James Holtzberg.
The guy,
when you do his all in.
He statistically broke Jeopardy with all of his analytical decisions. I loved it.
Right. But I think of the visual of him kind of saying all in. Yeah. And, that's, Jane and I are all in on Perrysburg, and we are going to be an invested member of the community. And, our son is playing on the Perrysburg junior high football team, so we'll be watching them on Wednesday nights. Yeah, it's good. The housing market isn't super awesome right now for buyers, but it is what it is. So,
a couple of final questions to go back down 75 to BG or down 25 for a moment. What's something overlooked in BG that you have come to love over the years that maybe off the beaten path you wish more people knew about or would enjoy?
That's a great question. So BG is kind of the quintessential small town in Midwest Ohio. It's very similar to Perrysburg in that respect too, but BG is definitely smaller than Perrysburg. Maybe not statistically, population-wise, but it's definitely smaller. The park system within BG are they're amazing. Simpson Garden Park is really great. Carter Park is great. That was one of those really cool experiences that I've had, is partnering with Ryan Weekman and Weekly Plays to put in the inclusive playground there at Carter Park. City Park is amazing, but BG is just a good place to explore, and I think there are some great things on the horizon. So
you brought up Inside the Five. Anything else socially, lifestyle speaking, your family are looking forward to living in Perrysburg? Well,
I can tell you being closer to all the amenities is definitely going to be easier.
You have to stop your wife from making Kohl's and Target trips.
I was just going to say, I think I'm not going to stop her from making those trips, but if she has to make a return, it'll be a lot easier now. But when I start thinking through Perrysburg, that's where we had our first date at Casa Baron. Casa Baron's where I had my first job. So it's going to be really cool to get back into the community and I'm looking forward to reconnecting with some of the people that I may have lost touch with over the years. There's one in particular that I'm very much looking forward to. His name's J.D. Justice. He's a retired police officer with Perrysburg. He and my parents are very close when I was growing up, so I plan to get coffee with him here hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But the amenities are amazing. Looking forward to getting back into it. Jane's sister and brother-in-law live in Perrysburg. Her dad is probably moving there, so it's going to be great to get a little bit closer to them. My mom lives in Perrysburg. So,
last couple of questions. You brought up your background in the Army, Intel, still in the National Guard.
Yep.
You are in public service now. Where did this part of you to serve and sacrifice, when did you first notice that in yourself?
Well, my dad was in the Army Reserve really from the time I was born. So he retired from the Army in '95. I grew up watching him go to reserve duty, and then he is the retired municipal administrator for the city of Bowling Green. So I probably get it from him by watching him and seeing the enjoyment that he got from serving not only our country but our community. This is something I knew all along that I wanted to go into the Army. I knew I wanted to experience some of those things. And then, I met my wife when we were in D.C., and lo and behold, she was from North Baltimore. So it was kind of like God,
like up in Michigan,
North Baltimore, Ohio, just south of PG. So it's a long story, but it's very weird that we kind of connected in D.C. on my last job on active duty, and decided to move back to the Northwest Ohio area. So,
Good to have you here. I'm looking forward to what you do in Perrysburg. I saw that Nacken had some high praise for you: outgoing, conscientious, mission driven. Yeah. So it's all on you, and he'll take some of the arrows and some of the praise. Yeah,
I do have a heavy lift here. It is a very, very big job, but the good thing is Mayor Mackin is extremely supportive. City Council has been extremely supportive. The staff is phenomenal. So again, going back to the team, I'm just one part of the team. So I have a very talented group working with me and behind me and on my behalf and on behalf of Mayor Mackin and Council. So I'm very excited. I cannot wait to get on board and really to get moving on this.
Awesome. We're all done. Thank you so much.